Kids all have their favorite for Miller.
We sell
I think everybody's.
You've probably talked a few times already.
Well, I mean, I don't,
Mine are obsessed with the pretzels I used to say.
so what is all this time?
They're in a little case, like in the middle of the floor. Oh, can we get some?
And you're obsessed with cheese curds.
Oh, yeah.
Good Wisconsin boys. Okay, it's quiet now, so I think we'll get started. So, roll call. Danny. Here. Damon.
Here.
Kimberly.
Here.
Leah.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Anna's here. And Deb's here as well. Has the meeting been properly noticed and certified?
Yes, it has been.
Please join with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who would like to read the mission statement?
I'll read it.
Thank you, Leah.
The Mount Horeb Area School District in partnership with the community is dedicated to nurturing, educating, and challenging our students, preparing and empowering them to be productive, responsible, and self-fulfilled members of society.
Thank you. Approval of the presented revised agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Leah made the motion and Michelle seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2B, approval of the May 2nd reorganization minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Michelle made the motion, Danny seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the May 2nd regular minutes.
So moved.
Danny made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Leah seconded.
I have a comment.
Okay.
There's mention in here that Danny Michaels returned to the meeting, but it doesn't say anywhere that she left the meeting.
I think it's in the paragraph.
Is it
above
delayed?
it, but I got to see here.
Motion.
What page are you on?
The page 2 of 3 is where she came back.
Four paragraphs up. It starts with Deb Klein gave the high school HVAC.
Danny, I got it. Thank
Some
you.
things happened while I was gone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, motion by Danny, seconded by Leah to approve the May 2nd regular minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the May 2nd executive session minutes. So I'll give you a minute to take a look. You made the motion.
Second.
Jeff seconded.
Leah and Jeff.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Addressing the board. School news.
I just have a couple things I'd like to share. Wednesday night of this week is the senior awards ceremony at the auditorium at 7 o'clock. All of you are invited to attend if possible. It's really a neat event. They do the silver cord hours. They go through a lot of different awards. It's really very special. And today we had a very special day. This morning we had our students recognize Chuck Miskey for his year of coming back and being the principal. Since I think they said the last year he was here was 1988 as the principal, and Channel 3 was there as well. So it was really neat. They took a picture with all the students in the background. It was so cool.
I read the article. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, and Dave Kunkel was kind of the person that really got the students involved with that. They had a slideshow of different things throughout the year. It was really special.
Very nice. Other schools?
Recently, last Saturday was the junior prom
In addition to that, it was G-Safe recognition for the Saga club at our school to be recognized for their efforts in the I Am Jazz reading, and they were all recognized and received an award in regards to that. Conferences for sports are coming up. Track has theirs tomorrow. I know all of the other sports are also gearing up for their conference. And then this past week as well, the girls soccer varsity team beat Wanakee, breaking Wanakee's huge winning streak and marking Mr. Newman's 500th win as a coach. So that was pretty big. The honor roll came out for third quarter, and band, orchestra, and choir concerts are finishing up. I think choir's concert is tonight. Band's was last Thursday. Orchestra's was the Thursday before that. We have a Memorial Day program on the 31st of May where the band will play and we'll also be marching. And then June 5th is seniors graduation, and the rest of the school gets out June 8th after finals.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, huge shout out to the band concert for managing to squeeze all those people in and getting.
And it was just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, there was, the sophomore tuba player was unbelievable. And the local composer that wrote the piece about the trolls everybody just did great. There was a lot of love in the room. It was awesome.
It was warm too.
It was warm, but it's worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any other school news?
It's science night at the IC on Wednesday as well.
Science night at the IC. And art, isn't there an art
I think there's,
show
yeah,
as
there's
well?
an art show too. Yep.
At the same time, so that's pretty exciting as well, science night. I would like to recognize Deb. She will be retiring at the end of this school year, so we'd like to say thank you for your service in our school district. And good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Enjoy up north. Okay, citizen comments. Do I have any citizens' comments? Nope. Okay, moving on, personnel transactions. Did everybody see that there was an addendum to the personnel transactions that came out today on board docs? Jeff made the motion.
Second.
Michelle seconded.
I did not see the addendum. Where is that?
You want, I can pass it around.
Oh, you made
If you
some.
click on the
Jack's got a
personnel
copy.
Yeah, there you
transactions,
go.
there should
There
be
was two
of them.
documents.
Single flow, 2 boxes.
It's the
Oh,
addendum.
okay.
I didn't
All right,
I didn't
I
know
see
it was
it.
there.
There's 2 additional ones from today.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Michelle to approve the personnel transactions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I just say one quick thing?
Yes.
Thank you. On one of your personnel addendums tonight, I want to introduce Justin Harris is our new transportation coordinator that you just approved. Justin is joining us from Monroe School District, where he's been the transportation manager there for the last 5 years. And he comes to us with wonderful references. And Dr. Salerno and I went through a phone screening last week, followed by a few days later a interview of which Jeff Hanna, a number of administrators, bus drivers, Bill was on the interview team. That took place last Thursday. We were really impressed with the candidates. Dr. Salerno and I met with Justin today to talk about a few things, and he is excited and fully on board and ready to begin with us. We're looking to have him start sometime between the week of June 6th and June 13th. Justin, you want to say a few things?
It's nice to meet everybody. I live in Darlington. I'm from the area. Like he said, I was a transportation manager for Monroe Public Schools for the last 5 years. I love what I do, and I'm excited to meet everybody more on one-on-one as we go through the course of time, and just ready and willing to see where life takes us. So I'm excited to be here. I come with 15 years of experience. I've been a bus driver and worked from the bottom to the top, and it shows a lot, and I'm excited to get back out there with the new fresh team and see where life takes me. So look forward to my time with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Number 5, consent agenda. Does anybody want anything pulled out of theirs? Or are we all good with leaving it all in?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Michelle to approve the consent agenda reports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action items. Now you'll notice that we moved the action items with the discussion items so that Michelle could be here because her son is performing tonight, so she would like to go and see that. So our first reading of a policy, Director of Transportation, Policy 242. Now, we can approve this if we get the entire board votes tonight.
I have a question.
Sure.
So all the other ones we've been approving have, like, at-will language or some sort of language, and there's nothing in this one. So if there's nothing in here, is it just cause?
No, this would be at will, like the other coordinator positions.
Even though it's not listed
Yeah.
specifically in
Yeah.
here?
Scott didn't change a lot of the description. It's more language stuff. He didn't really address a lot of the specifics. It's more the general position description.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Michelle made the motion, seconded by Jeff. Further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Danny?
Yes.
Damon?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Leah?
No?
Jeff?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, but it cannot carry with Leah voting no.
Sorry.
So we'll have a second reading of this the next time.
Does that put a stop to his hiring?
If the concern is with regard to an at-will status, I apologize. If it's a concern with regard to the at-will status, the good news is the individual agreement that's provided to the employee does state at-will. And that was really what will carry the day if there's ever a discrepancy with regard to their status of employment, not the job or position description.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, next policy is Director of Human Resources, Policy 245.
I found 3 small typos. Would you like me to state them or email them?
You can just state them, I think.
Okay. Under F1, the word "of" is omitted. Coordinate the evaluation of all district personnel. Is that fine? Okay. Under H3, bloodborne pathogens, bloodborne is one word. And under H2, implication should be implications, plural. That's all.
Now, I think this is a change from what we've had before. It's no longer a director position, but now it's a coordinator, correct?
Well, that's with great technology.
Human Resources also.
Yep.
So this is a first reading. If we get a motion, we can do another roll call. To approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Michelle?
Right, with stated amendments.
With the changes, okay. Michelle made the motion and Danny seconded. Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to do a roll call. Danny?
Yes.
Damon?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Leah?
No?
Jeff?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so the motion fails. We'll bring it back next week
Yeah.
for a second reading. Okay, number 3, policy, is this a policy?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, 653.1. Free admission passes to athletic events.
Motion to approve.
Second. The only difference with this is we're not gonna get the little, like, business card, right? We just show our ID rather
Right.
than having the little card.
And that's what we've been doing the last couple of years, so it really just coincides with how we've been treating the free admission for staff and board. And this went through finance committee, the last finance committee last week.
Also,
Oh, we already did
I think Jeff, did you make the motion?
Yes.
I seconded it.
Leah seconded.
A little slow to get it here.
Another discussion point, probably should say have the revised date
Well, yeah, we do that after it's approved.
after it's approved.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Leah to approve this policy. All those in favor to do roll call. Danny?
Yes.
Damon?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So the free admission passes to athletic events, policy 653.1 passes. Okay, B, consideration of 2015-16 budget adjustments.
These were, do you want to speak?
Well,
on
I
it?
don't know if we want to do a motion in a second first before we discuss, but
Okay.
Move to approve these budget changes.
Second.
Motion by Michelle, seconded by Leah. Discussion?
the adjustments that are in your, in board docs were ones that were reviewed by the finance committee, and most of them just represent some changes in grant dollars that we've received since the board approved a budget in October. Some of those we don't know for sure until later in the fall. And so there's some minor adjustments to account for some of those differences. Scott, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, but.
If you'd like to know the specific grants, I can share those with you. Basically, federal grants for both our general operations and state grant, our educator effectiveness grant that we have through the state of Wisconsin. Carl Perkins grant, which is the cooperative program at the bottom of the sheet. Carl Perkins is a vocational grant that we have through the federal government. We're the fiscal agent with Wisconsin Heights on that. Probably the most significant change that you'll see is in food service, and that's the adjustment that is reflected because of Michelle Dink's presentation that she shared with you last meeting about some of the capital expenditures she's looking to make.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Michelle, seconded by Leah. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the 2016-17 open enrollment applications.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Danny. Discussion?
I'm not sure who the right person to ask is, but I think this is, I think historically we've had more in enrollments than out enrollments, and it looks like
Yes.
it's not quite that way this year.
That looks like that. Not everyone chooses to come in that applies, and not everyone chooses to go out that applies. And some have applied to a couple of places.
Oh.
So you'll see some students, they may have applied to like a virtual school and another, and that's the same way with ins and outs. Some apply to several different ones
Okay.
and sometimes choose to pick one of those or not necessarily. But there's really no reason, we don't have any basis to deny any of the ins or any of the outs that are listed in our groups.
How close are any buildings or grade levels to being capped?
We don't really have, we have guidelines, we don't have specific numbers, like we don't say we aren't going to go over 21 in second grade. We just have guidelines. So in order to really have a limit, you have to have a specific guideline that you use and stick to constantly, and we don't have that.
So, but we have added we have added
Yep.
to different grade levels when we've been close to
Mhm.
those.
Yeah.
Is the number of ins about the same as it was last year? Does anybody remember?
I think it's close.
Okay.
And we currently, so students don't reapply every year, so our current, we have more
Okay.
ins than we do outs right now
Okay.
overall.
So if they're already out, then they're out.
Out, yeah.
Got it? Okay.
Once it's approved.
Although we have one coming back, I think, today.
Yep, one's coming back today.
So,
Okay. I was just more concerned for a feel about if we are starting to have a trend of more outs than
Mhm.
ins, then how do we need to address it?
and we
to make
do
sure
do a
that-
survey.
Ah,
Once they're approved and final, we do a survey.
Okay.
It's a volunteer survey,
Right.
but we have, we have pretty good response for both ins and outs. Why are you coming in, or why are you choosing to have your child come in, or why are you choosing to go out? And we use that information that is shared at education.
education.
Yep,
Okay. Thank you.
yep.
Are there pros and cons to having policy guidelines versus firm size limits?
Well, one thing, if we do have firm, then we can't ever, if we're one over, we have to add a section. Or otherwise, you have no really allowance to deny anyone. So if it's firm, that means you have to hire.
Okay.
Is there any concern with the fact that we're looking at a referendum and saying that we're crowded and we need to expand, but yet we have room to allow people to come in? Is that a mixed message? Or is it just balances out with the people that are going out?
Yeah.
Historically, we've been about the
What's a
same
wash?
ins and outs. Maybe a few on either side, but historically, it's been pretty even.
It's an imperfect process, it seems like.
Mhm.
It is.
Budget-wise, typically we like to have the ins.
Right.
Mhm.
So I always like to see more
More.
ins than outs, because that tells us, in fact, that we're doing a good job, that people want to come in.
Right.
I'd rather go to referendum saying, we have a great school district, but we still need a little extra room, than go to referendum and say, well, actually, we have a ton of people leaving. That wouldn't be good. Good question.
Right.
Okay, motion by Leah, seconded by Danny. This is for the open enrollment in applications. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Consideration of the 2016-17 open enrollment out applications.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Leah, seconded by Jeff. Discussion?
I have a dumb question.
Okay.
So it's not like this is something we really have any control over. Why do we vote on it? You know what I mean?
My guess is it's probably a state law thing.
Right.
We
Well,
Are required to
The
approve?
board is supposed to approve open enrollment ins and outs. We do have some alternate ones that do throughout the year, and we do those on a case-by-case basis, and we don't bring them to the board just when all of them come together at one time, according to the statutory dateline. We bring those to the board, but
If we were at a capacity level, could we say no to the potential ins?
Yep, yep, you could.
Could we say no to the outs?
That makes sense to me that we would vote on that. It's the voting on
You
the
can't-
outs that doesn't
yeah,
make
yeah,
sense
you can't
because.
vote on that, you can't deny an out.
Right, so what's the point of voting is my
Can
question.
you,
There's very, very small
aren't there
circumstances.
socioeconomic, aren't there percentages that you have to keep? I mean, I've heard of bigger districts that go through this, that it
Yeah.
changes the makeup of their demographic.
We don't have that
But
issue
we don't,
here.
Right.
So they're really, I mean, if a student's been expelled in another school district, you can deny them coming in. There's not a lot of things going out. Special ed costs are one very small, but it's a very unusual circumstance that would apply. So there's really not a lot of discretion, I guess I would say.
Right, so
within
I just think
the-
it's an interesting question. I mean, what if we all voted no? Well, it's not like it's gonna make any difference, you know what I mean? It's
It's a good point.
You're right.
Kind of like a rubber stamp.
It's a little bit of a formality. There used to be more exceptions or in regard to allowing ins and outs, and now there really isn't. It's pretty much,
Is that with the change a few years ago?
well, the
Like
percentages have increased to zero. No, there's no limit. It was limited at first, and just as far as excessive costs has really changed. So there really isn't much basis anymore.
Is it a requirement that we vote on this? I'm just curious. I mean, is it actually, like, do we have to?
And that, I mean, some of the smaller districts even do that for all, like, for exceptional students through the year that apply. They have to go to their board. So I don't think it's, I guess we would have to check our policy too. Our policy probably says that.
I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. It's just more,
Yeah.
you know, it just seems kind of silly. That's all.
Good discussion.
No. It has become pretty much a formality. But.
Okay.
Okay, so motion on the table by Leah, seconded by Jeff, to approve the 2016-17 open enrollment out applications. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
May I be excused?
Be excused. Have fun. Okay, 7 discussion items. 7A, high school HVAC project update.
We had our last district-wide construction update last Thursday morning, and everything is on track, even with the additional asbestos abatement that the board approved at the last meeting. They're still on schedule, and things are going really smoothly. Most of the work is still being done at the second shift after students and staff have left, so it's right now, as we're here, they're overworking in the building. NAMI, they're also planning on having, maybe later in June or towards the end of June, having like a construction picnic and invite the staff and board members, and there would be times that you could kind of go through and tour the status of the project and see what's happening with that. But there will be more information as that progresses, so. It's going very well.
So we're on track, are we on budget?
Yep.
All right, great.
That's the one thing with the design build, it's pretty much that for the major part of the work, we know what the budget is going into it. So it's kind of a nice thing. There aren't a lot of surprises.
We also have a very good contractor. Very impressed with them.
And they're really working well with our staff, which Dave can probably attest to. It's just really going well.
It's hands off, they're just doing their thing.
Great. Any other questions, comments? 7B, mental health action team update.
The first meeting of the Mental Health Action Team has been scheduled for this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the district office. And the agenda for the meeting is on board docs, and it was reviewed with safety and wellness tonight. A lot of it's just kind of some initial work, and they're going to review the youth survey that was completed by our students that was shared with the board earlier. They'll review that and kind of figure out, start brainstorming on what we can do as a community and district together to help meet our students' needs.
Great. Any discussion or questions? Do you know how many people roughly you have?
There's about 25 people.
Wow. And you're meeting at the
district office, but there's a lot of, this time of year is so busy that, maybe 15 probably can actually attend. So it'll be a little cramped, but I don't know, sometimes I think it's better than here. We don't have a lot of great meeting spots for that number of people, so we'll see how that goes the first time, and if we need to, as the group expands, meet somewhere else. But we have a lot of conflicts with spring. People are very busy right now. So,
all right, thank you. 7C, facility plan survey update.
The original plan was to have a steering committee meeting last Thursday, but when the board approved kind of looking at a potential referendum date of April 2017, it was decided that we had more time to work on the survey, so the subcommittee is just going to work to pull together a draft before that steering committee would meet again. So we're kind of at that point right now. And on cue.
Practically, yeah.
Okay, 7D, legislative update.
Wow.
Don't sit down.
Well, I have to get online so that my legislative update appears to me. So talk among yourselves. Or maybe we can jump to the next item for a minute. I'm sorry.
Sure.
And I did share at our last committee meeting of the Community and Legislative Engagement Committee, we kind of decided that since the legislature will be out of session over the summer, our last meeting for the school year basically would be next Monday, and it's more to kind of do a review of the forum, the legislative forum that we held, and I think John's going to share that information. Just talk about that a little bit, and then we will kind of be on hiatus until fall. Great.
So did we recap the legislative visit that we had here?
No.
No? All right. Well, I'm happy to do that. I guess I'll stand up. So, hi, I'm John Humphries. I think I've met most of you. I coordinate our legislative committee's work with the WASB legislative group. And so you'll see me giving updates on a monthly basis or so. So we had a legislative forum here in Mount Horeb in this very room with John Offenbach and Sandy Pope. It was about 2 weeks ago now. And heard a lot about school funding, school improvement. They had a bunch of really interesting questions from students from the high school government class. And it was a great event. What did we have, about 25, 35 people, something like that, which is actually really pretty good turnout for that kind of an event. They talked a lot about school levy, property tax credits, and funding reform and opportunities that they've been working on at the state level to try to improve funding for schools. So that was one of our big goals for the spring and really for the first year. The other thing was your approval of the policy to have the legislative committee, and so that's just been a nice couple of things that we got done in this first few months. So let's see, some other things that are kind of lingering now. Transgender bathroom bill is likely to be back at the state level, and I know our board has policy on that already that is consistent with the federal the federal guidance that came out, which is maybe a little weak of a word. It's probably not just guidance, it's sort of like you should do this or risk losing federal funding. And some states are going down that road. I don't know what might happen with our state, but it's a lot of money that stands to be lost. But one Wisconsin school district, Shorewood, which is on the North Shore of Milwaukee, was cited in the guidance as an exemplary school district. And so, interestingly, the governor now is saying that it really ought to be a local issue. It shouldn't be a federal mandate, which would kind of put the ball back in your court, and you already have, I think, one of the most progressive policies around. So I think it'd probably be in good shape there. We're likely to see some limits on referenda. That will probably be coming back. So the idea is that they wouldn't want you to be able to hold referenda as often as you might want to. And if a referendum fails, then you have to wait a couple of election cycles before you can try again. Let's see, other significant things that we've been talking about. Student mental health is always a concern and a challenge, and that's been getting a lot of press. There was a legislative action day last week on Thursday, it was Thursday, at the state capitol, and legislators from around the state, as well as some school administrators and advocates for children's mental health were there, talking about expanded services, so things like co-locating a clinic in your school so students can access mental health services without having to leave school and go to a community site and disrupt their school day. Those have been really pretty popular, and they're predicated, our new superintendent probably knows a fair amount about that, because La Crosse has one of the best memorandas of understanding with their local clinical providers to provide those services in their schools. So that you'll have a nice opportunity there. Let's see, the legislature, I'm understanding there may be a budget, sort of a little mini budget repair bill coming up, because the tax revenues are not quite as strong as maybe they thought they were going to be. But then we'll be back in the budget cycle here coming up again this fall. And so we'll be watching that closely. The governor has sort of indicated an interest in expanding some funding for schools, public schools, K-12, or I should just say for K-12. He might also expand funding to charter choice or voucher schools at the same time. Charter schools get about $4,000 less per pupil in aid than the average public school, so that's an issue for many at the State House. But at the same time, they may be giving some more money to public education. Just today, the governor said that he wants to keep the tuition cap on the UW system. So that would indicate perhaps that there will be some more flexibility for funding in the K-12 system. Who knows? So that's kind of the legislative roundup. Do you have any questions or anything that maybe you've heard about that I didn't share?
I don't, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, John.
And I'm good on leave because we've been in meetings in Milwaukee since 7 o'clock this morning.
Sure.
So, and I need my beauty rest, as you can tell.
Thanks. Thank you. 7E, 2016-17 State AODA Grant Renewal Update.
So in board docs is just kind of our yearly AODA grant renewal that we file with DPI. I thought it was kind of nice to share because it has all our activities that we're planning for the upcoming year and where the funding, how that's going to be used. So it's pretty much for information only, but.
Discussion on the motion.
Yeah, there's no vote.
It's a discussion item, so we
It's
can
not-
vote.
We want to approve it.
She said I'm fine.
Just kind of haven't.
You've already signed it, Jeff.
I remember signing it. All right. Anybody have any other questions? AODA grant. Okay, moving on. 7F, discussion on date and location of June 6th, 2016 regular board meeting.
Okay, the June 6th board meeting is the same night as High School on the Horizon, which is our 8th grade graduation. Damon and Diana both have children who will be going through that. So I don't know if we want to look at the date, but I definitely think we need to look at the location. When I mentioned, Jeff Rasmussen indicated it'd be very difficult to have a board meeting here on the same night, since we'd probably be parking at the district office. It would be the closest spot we would get. So if nothing else, we'd need to change the location if we stay with that date.
So the graduation runs from 7 to 8, correct?
Uh-huh.
So I guess one option would be having a board meeting later on that day, or changing days altogether would be another option. Thoughts?
Waiting for my calendar to open.
Okay.
I would change the date.
Okay. Or we could, Damon and I could just not be here. That would be another option.
Are there any other limitations on the night of the meeting? You know, other nights to avoid? Is it other?
I don't think so. No. How about June 7th, the Tuesday?
It'd be fine with me.
Doesn't want to let me open June.
You're good with June 7th? Tuesday?
That's fine.
Works for you, Damon?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I can't get my calendar to open. I can't even get Google, so apparently.
Everything is 7? Stick to the regular time? Okay, we're just waiting on Leah.
Okay. Husband put a new widget on here and it doesn't work. Okay, yeah, I can do the 7th.
Okay.
7 o'clock?
Will the education committee
Meet on the 6th?
be?
Or meet before it?
Will that stay the same? That meeting's not here, is it? That's at the,
It normally is.
Education is
Normally
normally here. So can we just move education to Tuesday night also?
I don't know. I'm fine with that. Who's on the education committee? Danny, the 3 of you, correct, are on education? That would start then at 5:30?
Who is Sarah Strauss?
Sarah, yeah, we have. Yeah.
Can you check with Sarah
Yeah.
maybe? And
Mhm.
if it's okay with her, it's okay with me? and
Yep.
We will do
You
that.
guys too?
Okay, so we'll plan education 5:30 on the 7th. Are we gonna do, is this room open on the 7th? Do we know?
I'm just gonna look at
Then 7 o'clock would be the regular board meeting.
Can we have it in Hawaii?
No.
This room is freezing.
Yeah, my hands.
Maybe
are
it'll be
cold.
warmer by then.
I doubt it.
It's
always cold.
Girls on the run till 5 o'clock.
Okay, that's not here though. So I see.
At the end. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep, there's nothing
Okay.
on the calendar as of now.
Okay, so I'll check with Sarah about education, but otherwise we can plan for the regular meeting that night.
Okay. That sounds good. All right, 8A, citizen comments. Any citizens' comments? Okay, 9A, communication of board meeting information to the community. Will you do an HVAC update
Yeah. And a mental health.
and a mental health
Yeah, and then the board meeting.
and the
change.
board meeting change? And then the communication to the staff regarding the change in the policy for readmissions and passes to, I mean, they're already doing it. but
That's what
just
we're doing, so.
To make sure
yeah,
that they know.
Yeah. We changed that like a couple of years ago. We stopped doing them. Since everyone has the idea, it makes sense. So.
Sure. Anybody else have any ideas for communication of the board meeting information to the community? Anything else anybody would like to include?
the last one gave the timeline for the referendum and the survey. That was in the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah.
Okay, 10A. future agenda items are listed. Schedule of next meetings is listed. Obviously, the June 7th board meeting will be changed on there from June 6th to June 7th. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
45 minutes.
Danny, seconded by Leah.
record?
Motion
Oh my God, you have no idea.
Motion by Danny, we still have to vote on this. So, or else we're not really adjourned. Motion by Danny, seconded by Leah to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll do that.